So I think that's a difficult question. They've addressed a lot of the things in part. So I think the major buckets, or several major buckets, I think where systems and other ACOs have concerns. One is around benchmarking, the way that CMS attributes the target price essentially for patients has been challenging and hard to predict. It is improving. Things like regional benchmarking, for the most part, is I think a step in the right direction for most systems, but not across the board. But I think what needs to improve is the predictability. We see pretty significant swings, even within the same performance year, from baseline historical benchmarks to final reconciled benchmarks. And I think that's a challenge. I think especially when you're talking about risk, if we're seeing swings of as much as 10% in how the benchmark goes, that's really difficult to predict. And you could be tracking great all year and then end up upside down the end in a way that wasn't predictable. That's a problem. And it doesn't exist in Medicare Advantage, but absolutely exists in these models. I think the other piece is attribution. Still can be challenging. And I don't know that there's a perfect solution for that, whether it's retrospective or prospective, and there are models that try to address both. There are ways of perhaps reconciling attribution, perhaps based on where patients are actually seen and things like that. But I think there probably needs to be continued work on attribution as well. And I think the last one, which is perhaps as important as the benchmarking piece, is ability to risk adjust throughout the performance year. I think would be particularly helpful as the population changes. There's certainly significant churn in membership because of attribution. And not being able to adapt the risk adjustment to the new patients that are coming on, I think, is perhaps a problem. I would really be interested in things coming out of CMMI that start to look at how do we pay or how do we finance the social determinants and other non-healthcare related kinds of services that we all deal with. We were talking about it here in the conference here this fall, many sessions discussing about how we handle social determinants and how we finance that, and having models that more easily tie the delivery and coordination of those services, which is very much a part of this work. Finding a way of connecting that to the financial model, I think, would be an interesting thing to try to work on, but that's likely more of a CMMI innovation process rather than a true MSSP process.